I need you to imagine something. You're a billionaire car designer. You've shaped some of the most beautiful cars ever made. The BMW Z8, the Aston Martin DB9. You go public with your electric vehicle company, and Wall Street values it at $3 billion. The electric vehicle revolution is happening. Tesla's proven there's a market. You have the design chops, the funding, the vision, and then a 34-minute YouTube video destroys it all. This is the story of how one tech reviewer with 18 million subscribers accidentally became the executioner of a billion-dollar company. This is a story about what happens when Silicon Valley promises meet automotive reality, and why, in 2024, your company can live or die by the algorithm. Meet Henrik Fisker. This guy designed Bond's car, literally. The BMW Z8 that Pierce Brosnan drove in The World Is Not Enough? That's Henrik's work. Same with the Aston Martin DB9, one of the most beautiful Grand Tours ever made. But here's what's interesting about Henrik. He's not a tech bro trying to disrupt cars. He's a car guy trying to master tech. And that distinction, it's going to matter. See, this isn't Henrik's first rodeo. Back in 2007, he started Fisker Automotive, which made this beautiful thing called the 𝐃𝐨𝐽, a plug-in hybrid with the curves of a sports car and the environmental credentials of a Prius. But Fisker Automotive went spectacularly bankrupt in 2013. Some of the cars literally caught fire. The company burned through $1.4 billion, including $528 million in US government loans that taxpayers never got back. Most people would call it quits. But Henrik, he spent 3 years in exile, then came back in 2016 with Fisker Inc., a completely new company with a completely new strategy. The plan was genius on paper. Instead of building factories like Tesla, Fisker would be asset light. They designed the cars but outsourced manufacturing to Magna International, the same company that builds BMWs and Mercedes. This would let them move fast and avoid the production hell that nearly killed Tesla. The centerpiece was the 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐜𝐫𝐢𝐻, an electric SUV that would cost $37,499, have 350 miles of range, and come with solar panels on the roof. It looked like the future. It promised to be affordable, and Henrik claimed it would change the game. In October 2020, Fisker went public through a SPAC merger, the hottest financial trend of the COVID era. The company was suddenly worth $2.9 billion without selling a single car. Investors were betting on the next Tesla. But then, 2021 happened. Supply chain chaos, chip shortages, and suddenly, every automaker was struggling to build cars, let alone a startup trying to revolutionize the industry. Here's where Fisker's story gets really interesting, because they weren't just promising another electric car. They were promising a breakthrough that would leapfrog Tesla entirely. Traditional EV batteries use liquid lithium-ion technology. It works, but it's slow to charge, has limited range, and can be dangerous if damaged. Solid-state batteries? They promise to charge in minutes, last longer, and be much safer. In 2017, Fisker announced they'd cracked the code. They filed patents for solid-state technology and claimed they'd have it in production cars by 2020. This wasn't just marketing fluff. Solid-state batteries represent the holy grail of EV technology. Here's the global context you need to understand. Every major automaker and tech company is racing to perfect solid-state batteries. Toyota has spent billions. Samsung has a dedicated team. QuantumScape, backed by Volkswagen, is worth $3 billion trying to solve this problem. But 2020 came and went. No solid-state batteries. 2021, still nothing. By 2023, when the 𝐬𝐻𝐻 finally launched, it had regular lithium-ion batteries just like every other EV. I talked to Dr. Sarah Chen at MIT about this, and she explained something crucial. Solid-state batteries work beautifully in the lab, but scaling them to automotive production? That's where every company hits a wall. The manufacturing processes are incredibly complex and expensive. This pattern repeats across the industry. QuantumScape stock has been a roller coaster because investors keep getting excited about lab breakthroughs, then disappointed by production reality. So Fisker pivoted. Instead of revolutionary battery technology, they compete on design, price, and user experience. The Ocean would still be special, just not in the way they originally promised. But here's what Henrik and his team didn't fully grasp. When you promise to revolutionize the car industry, you're not just competing with other cars. You're competing with iPhones, with Teslas, with every piece of technology people use every day. June 2023. After years of delays and broken promises, the first Fisker Oceans finally rolled off the production line at Magna's factory in Graz, Austria. Fisker had promised to build 42,000 cars in 2023. They managed 10,193. Of those, they delivered fewer than 5,000 to actual customers. The rest sat in parking lots around the world. And almost immediately, the complaints started rolling in. Not about the design, everyone agreed the Ocean looked great. Not about the range, 350 miles was competitive. The problems were everywhere else. The infotainment system was painfully slow. The software crashed constantly. The car would randomly lock people inside because the door handles wouldn't work. Some Oceans literally had to be rescued by Fisker technicians. Now, to be fair, this isn't unique to Fisker. Rivian had similar problems. Lucid had quality issues. Even Tesla's early Model S had door handles that wouldn't work in cold weather. Building cars is hard, but Consumer Reports called the Ocean unfinished business and refused to recommend it. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration opened 4 separate investigations into safety issues, problems with braking, shifting into park, and doors not opening. By January 2024, Fisker was panicking. They abandoned their Tesla-style direct sales model and started working with traditional dealerships. They signed deals with 15 US dealers and 12 European partners, hoping to move their inventory. Then came the fire sale. In March 2024, as bankruptcy loomed, Fisker slashed prices by up to $24,000. The Ocean Extreme, originally $61,499, was suddenly available for $37,437. The Sport dropped from $41,437 to $27,734. But even with massive discounts, the cars weren't selling. Dealerships were nervous, customers were scared, and then into this precarious situation walked Marques Brownlee. Marques Brownlee, 𝐬𝐿 to his 18 million YouTube subscribers, is probably the most influential tech reviewer in the world. When he reviews your phone, your headphones, your electric car, it matters. Companies live and die by his verdicts. His audience isn't just big, it's exactly the demographic that buys expensive electric cars. Young, tech-savvy, affluent, these are Tesla's core customers, and they're exactly who Fisker needed to convince. Here's how the review happened, and why it became so devastating. Brownlee didn't get the car from Fisker directly. He borrowed it from a used car dealer in New Jersey named 𝐬𝐿𝐫𝐿, who'd bought it to flip. When Fisker found out Brownlee had a car, they called him and asked him to wait. A big software update was coming, they said. Version 2.0 would fix everything. Just wait a few weeks. Brownlee's response was devastating in its simplicity. It's not really my policy to wait on promised future software updates. I'm going to review the car that's out now that real buyers are actually living with. And oh boy, did he review it. The 34-minute video was titled, "This is the worst car I've ever reviewed," and it was methodical destruction. The software was painfully slow, taking 30 seconds to open the glove compartment. Warning lights came on constantly. The solar roof monitoring didn't work. The key fob required multiple button presses. The car even rolled backward when he thought it was in park. Within 24 hours, the video had 2 million views. By week's end, 4.3 million. It wasn't just the numbers, it was who was watching. Tesla forums, EV subreddits, automotive journalists, everyone was sharing this video. Fisker's stock price, already battered, fell another 20% in the days following the review. But more importantly, the video crystallized every doubt people had about the company. This wasn't just one guy's opinion, it was confirmation of what industry insiders had been whispering for months. But here's where the story gets truly bizarre. Remember 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐞, the used car dealer who lent Brownlee the Ocean? A few days after the review went live, his phone rang. On the other end was a Fisker senior engineer sounding absolutely panicked. Senior management said, "Scrub my schedule and take care of this," the employee said. He was trying to get Brownlee's contact information to send someone out to update the car's software. 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐞 recorded the call and posted it on TikTok. That video went viral too. Millions more views, thousands of comments. Suddenly, Fisker wasn't just dealing with one bad review. 40 years ago, if Car and Driver gave you a bad review, you'd call up the editor, take them to lunch, and try to rebuild the relationship for next time. But YouTube doesn't work that way. The review is permanent, searchable, and it keeps getting views forever. The 𝐬𝐻D review has now been watched 5.7 million times. It's been translated into dozens of languages. It shows up when you Google Fisker Ocean. For many potential customers, this video is their introduction to the brand. By early 2024, Fisker was in full crisis mode. The company had just $120 million in cash and was burning through $100 million per quarter. The math was simple and terrifying. The broader EV market was shifting too. Chinese companies like BYD were flooding global markets with cheap, high-quality electric cars. Traditional automakers were finally releasing competitive EVs. The window for expensive, buggy startups was closing fast. In February, Fisker laid off 15% of its workforce. In March, they paused production entirely. They were desperately trying to find a partner, any partner, to inject cash and keep the lights on. Fisker thought they had a lifeline in Nissan. Reports leaked that the Japanese automaker was considering a $350 million investment. But those talks collapsed in March, apparently over concerns about Fisker's quality control and software issues. In April, the New York Stock Exchange delisted Fisker's stock. Shares that once traded at $20 were now worth pennies. The company that was once valued at $3 billion was effectively worthless. Customers were fleeing. Thousands canceled their orders. Those who'd already taken delivery were demanding refunds. Some insurance companies started totaling Fisker Oceans rather than repair them because parts were so hard to get. On the 17th of June, 2024, Fisker filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. The company listed assets of $500 million to $1 billion, but liabilities of $100 million to $500 million. Among their creditors, Adobe, Google, and SAP, a who's who of software companies. They owed money for development tools. Remember those thousands of unsold Fisker Oceans sitting in parking lots around the world? In July 2024, the bankruptcy court approved their sale to a New York leasing company called American Lease. But here's the truly tragic part: the thousands of people who actually bought Fisker Oceans before the collapse. These cars are now essentially orphaned. No warranty support, no software updates, no spare parts. The price? $46.25 million for 3,231 vehicles. That works out to about $14,000 per car. These were SUVs that originally sold for up to $70,000, now worth less than a used Honda Civic. I spoke to Sarah Martinez in California, who bought her Ocean in January 2024. The car still drives, she told me, but the software is frozen in time. The connected features don't work. If something breaks, I'm basically on my own. The situation gets even weirder with safety recalls. Fisker issued recalls for problems with automatic emergency braking and rollaway risks, but with the company bankrupt, who's responsible for fixing them? ocean owners have formed their own association and are developing workarounds. Some are paying $200 negative $350 out of pocket at independent shops to get recall work done, hoping for eventual reimbursement that may never come. So what really killed Fisker? The easy answer is Marques Brownlee's review. But that's too simple, and honestly, it's not fair to Brownlee. The real answer is that building cars is incredibly hard, and building good software is incredibly hard, and trying to do both at once, at scale, profitably, is nearly impossible. Look at the numbers. In the last 5 years, dozens of EV startups have raised billions of dollars. Tesla succeeded. Rivian is hanging on. Lucid might make it. But Fisker, 𝐾𝐿, Lordstown Motors, Electric Last Mile Solutions, they're all gone or on life support. There's a cultural clash here too. Silicon Valley moves fast and breaks things. But when you break a $60,000 car that someone needs to get to work every day, that's not a learning opportunity, that's a disaster. What's new is the media landscape. 40 years ago, bad reviews appeared in specialist magazines that most people never read. Today, one YouTuber with 18 million subscribers can destroy your company in 34 minutes. And this matters for bigger reasons than just Henrik Fisker's bank account. The transition to electric vehicles is crucial for fighting climate change. We need multiple successful EV companies. Every failure makes that transition harder. Fisker's collapse isn't just about one company. It's a warning about what happens when Silicon Valley optimism meets manufacturing reality. During the SPAC boom of 2020-2021, investors threw money at any company with electric and vehicle in their business plan. Most of that money is now gone. The easy funding era is over. There's also a tension between innovation and safety. Cars aren't smartphones. They can't be beta tested with real customers. When your iPhone crashes, it's annoying. When your car's software fails, people can die. Meanwhile, Chinese EV companies like BYD and NIO are eating everyone's lunch. They're building high-quality, affordable electric cars at massive scale. American startups that took 5 years to deliver buggy prototypes are competing against companies that shipped millions of vehicles. Fisker's asset-light strategy, designing cars but outsourcing manufacturing, seemed brilliant until it wasn't. When quality problems emerged, they had no direct control over production. They were completely dependent on Magna, who had their own priorities. So what's the lesson here? It's not that YouTube reviewers are too powerful, though they certainly are powerful. It's not that electric vehicle startups are doomed, though most of them probably are. The lesson is that in 2024, there's no such thing as a soft launch. There's no grace period where you get to work out the bugs privately. The moment your product hits the market, it's being filmed, reviewed, discussed, and judged by millions of people. Silicon Valley taught us to move fast and break things. But maybe some things shouldn't be broken. Maybe a $60,000 family car should work properly on day one. The EV industry will survive Fisker's collapse. Tesla proved electric cars can work. Chinese companies are proving they can be affordable. The technology is getting better every year. As for Henrik Fisker himself, at 61, this is probably his last shot at building a car company. But knowing his history, I wouldn't be surprised if he's already sketching his next design. The real story here isn't about cars or batteries or even YouTube. It's about how the internet has democratized influence. One person with a camera and 18 million subscribers can do what traditional media never could: hold companies accountable in real time at global scale. Marques Brownlee didn't kill Fisker, but he definitely wrote the obituary. And in our connected world, sometimes that's the same thing.